Sis, let me tell you something real. Your confidence was never attacked because it was weak. It was attacked because it was powerful. Your confidence is not a luxury, it's a weapon. And anything that becomes a weapon against darkness will always come under fire. The moment you began to rise, the moment you dared to dream beyond your history, the moment you whispered, maybe I can, you put a target on your back. See, the enemy didn't need to take your gifts. He didn't even have to block the opportunities. All he had to do was tamper with your confidence. Because if you don't believe in what you carry, you'll never move in it. Let's be clear. The enemy studied you, not in your strength, but in your uncertainty. He watched how you questioned your voice, your ideas, your body, your brilliance. And he said, right there, that's the spot. That's where I'll plant the lie. And he didn't come with thunder. No, he came with whispers. Whispers like, you're not good enough. They're gonna find out you don't belong. Why try again? You failed last time. Keep it small, keep it safe. But I came to pull back the curtain and on that lie. You weren't born to shrink. You weren't created to play it safe. Your confidence isn't arrogance, it's alignment. It's you walking in agreement with what heaven already wrote about you. And maybe the reason you've been feeling unqualified is because you were measuring your confidence by human standards. But sis, when your confidence is rooted in purpose, not performance, then even your weakness has value. Let me say it this way. Your confidence doesn't come from your resume. It comes from your revelation. When you know who sent you, you stop apologizing for how you show up. So, what do we do now? We take it back. Take back your confidence from the comments that broke you. Take it back from the failure that haunted you. Take it back from the comparison that drained you. Confidence is not something you feel. It's something you decide. So make a decision today that says, I will no longer betray the version of me that heaven keeps calling. She's strong. She's wise. She's evolving. She's rising. And when your confidence aligns with your calling, hell gets nervous. Because a confident woman on a mission, oh baby, she's unstoppable. Would you like this formatted as a script, social post, or printable PDF? Your confidence is the gatekeeper to destiny. It's not just about feeling good or looking the part. It's the doorway through which your purpose walks. Confidence is not decoration. It's infrastructure. It determines how you show up in rooms, how you carry your calling, how you respond when things don't go as planned. That's why the attack came. Because if your confidence is shaken, your decisions start to waver. And when your decisions waver, your destiny gets delayed. You've got to understand this. Every significant move you'll ever make in life requires confidence. Not just confidence in your skills, not just in your preparation, but confidence in your placement. Confidence that says, even if I don't feel ready, I'm still assigned. Confidence that whispers, I may not have it all figured out, but I've been positioned for this moment. That kind of confidence isn't birthed in applause. It's forged in adversity. It's built when you show up, even when your knees are shaking. It's built when you open your mouth, even when your voice is trembling. Confidence is a decision to believe in what's been placed inside you, even when the outside doesn't look like it's working. That's why the enemy comes for your confidence. Not because of where you are, but because of where you're going. He sees destiny on you. He sees transformation, elevation, leadership. He sees the lives you're meant to impact, the chains you're meant to break, the cycles you're called to end. So if he can get you to doubt yourself, he doesn't need to stop you, because you'll stop yourself. And once you start shrinking, you start settling. And once you start settling, you start silencing. And now you're walking through life muted, edited, toned down, not because you're unqualified, but because your confidence was compromised. Let's get real. Every time you said no when you wanted to say yes, every time you dimmed your light to make someone else comfortable, every time you played it safe to avoid being seen, you were handing over pieces of your confidence, slowly, quietly, but consistently. And that's what keeps too many gifted, anointed, intelligent, called people stuck in patterns that were never meant to hold them. Not because they don't have the capacity, but because they stopped believing in what was already true about them. But here's the truth. Your confidence isn't built on compliments, it's built on conviction. When you know who you are and whose you are, no lie can lodge itself in your spirit. You may feel fear, but you move anyway. You may have doubts, but they don't drive. That's what makes confident people dangerous. Not that they never question, but that they never quit. So today is your moment to take that confidence back. Not the version the world told you to have, the curated, highlight reel, performance-based kind, but the confidence that's rooted in purpose, the kind that doesn't shout but shows up, the kind that doesn't need permission, just obedience. You were created on purpose, for a purpose, and your confidence is the gate that swings open when you say, I trust the one who sent me. Your destiny doesn't need perfect, it needs present, it needs available. And most of all, it needs confident. Because a confident you is a called you in action. And that right there is what changes everything. The real war isn't external, it's internal. The true battlefield is not your bank account, not your relationships, not your job, not even the opportunities that seem to pass you by. The real battlefield is your mind. It's not the circumstances that destroy us. It's the narrative we believe about them. The mind is where battles are won or lost long before anything shows up in the natural. And this is exactly why your confidence was the target. Because if the enemy can win in your thoughts, he doesn't need to touch your environment. If he can convince you that you're not worthy, not capable, not called, then he doesn't need to close doors. You won't even approach them. You ever wonder why it's so hard to silence your inner critic? Why it's easier to believe one negative thought than 100 affirmations? Because the enemy doesn't fight fair. He plays dirty. He plants seeds of doubt and waters them with fear, shame, and comparison. And over time, those small thoughts grow into loud beliefs. Beliefs that become strongholds. Beliefs that become barriers. Beliefs that stop you from stepping into the very things you were created for. And it's not because the opportunity wasn't there. It's because your mind couldn't carry the weight of believing it was yours. That's why you can be surrounded by people who see your light and still feel like you're in the dark. That's why you can have talent and still question your value. That's why you can show up for everyone else, but stay silent about your own needs. Because deep down, your mind has become a place where doubt echoes louder than truth. And the longer you entertain those thoughts, the harder it is to recognize them as lies. But let me tell you, just because a thought feels familiar doesn't mean it's true. Just because you've rehearsed the fear doesn't mean it's your future. Just because you've lived in limitation doesn't mean that's your identity. You've got to reclaim your mind. You've got to renew your thoughts, because the same place where doubt took root is the same place where truth can be planted. You don't win this war by trying to control everything around you. You win it by confronting what's going on inside of you. And that means getting honest. Honest about what you've been believing. Honest about the stories you've been telling yourself. Honest about the words you've internalized that were never aligned with the truth of who you are. You can't transform your life without transforming your thinking. That's why Scripture says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Because God knew the mind was the motherboard. If the enemy hijacks your thinking, he can reroute your whole life. But when your mind is aligned with your purpose, your confidence becomes immovable. It becomes resilient. And that's when the shift happens, not when your situation changes, but when your perspective does. So today, take a look at what's been running through your mind. What are the thoughts you've allowed to take residence? Are they life-giving or life-limiting? Are they rooted in faith or rooted in fear? You don't need to fake confidence. You need to fight for it. You need to confront the lies, cast them down, and replace them with truth. Because once your mind is clear, your vision becomes focused. Once your mind is free, your decisions become bold. And once your mind is renewed, your destiny becomes unstoppable. Don't wait for peace to show up in your circumstances. Build it in your thoughts. Don't wait for someone to affirm you. Start speaking life over your own mind. This is where the real war is, and this is where you win. Identity is the root. Confidence is the fruit. You can't have a steady, unshakable confidence without first being rooted in who you are. Confidence is not something you borrow, imitate, or pretend. It's something that flows naturally from a place of deep identity. When you are unsure of who you are, confidence becomes a costume, something you wear to look the part but never truly feel. You'll walk into rooms trying to perform instead of just being. You'll base your worth on productivity instead of presence. That's not real confidence, that's survival. And that's why the enemy attacked your identity before he ever came for your confidence, because he knows that if he can make you question your identity, your confidence will collapse right behind it. Think about it. How can you move boldly when you're unsure of what you carry? How can you speak with authority when you're uncertain of your assignment? You were never meant to search for identity in validation, in accolades, in relationships, or even in achievements. Those things can be good, but they were never meant to define you. Because what happens when they fall away? What happens when you lose the thing that made you feel valuable? If your identity was attached to it, your confidence will crash too. The world teaches us to build our identity on things that shift. Social media says, be more like her. Society says, achieve more, prove more, earn more. Culture says, they don't see you, you don't matter. And so we chase relevance, we chase perfection, we chase acceptance, and somewhere in that chase, we lose the core of who we are. Confidence isn't about reaching for more, it's about returning to the truth, returning to the fact that before you did anything, you were already enough. Before you built the business, before you got the degree, before the applause or the attention, you were already chosen, already called, already loved. That's identity. And when you live from that place, confidence becomes a natural response. You don't have to hype yourself up when you're grounded in your identity. You don't have to compete when you're rooted in your value. You don't have to dim your light when you know it was never meant to be hidden. That kind of confidence can't be shaken by rejection, because you know rejection isn't a reflection of your worth. It can't be drained by failure, because failure doesn't change your name. It doesn't disappear in discomfort, because your foundation isn't built on feelings, it's built on truth. That's why identity is the real fight. That's why the enemy didn't wait until you were grown to start attacking it. The attack often starts early, subtle, and strategic. He starts in childhood through words, neglect, trauma, silence. He knows if he can make you believe a lie about who you are, you'll carry it into adulthood and live beneath your calling. You'll question yourself at every opportunity. You'll talk yourself out of doors that were meant for you. You'll wait for permission to be what God already called you to be. But here's the beautiful thing, even if your identity was damaged, it can still be restored. Your confidence can grow again, but it has to be rooted in truths, not titles, not temporary affirmations. Real truth, the truth that says you were formed with purpose, the truth that says nothing about your past disqualifies you from your future, the truth that reminds you, you are not what happened to you, you are not your mistakes, you are not your lowest moment, you are not your insecurity. You are who heaven says you are. And when you live from that truth, confidence becomes your fruit. Not forced, not fabricated, but authentic, real, steady, and powerful. Because when you know who you are, you stop waiting for the world to tell you who to be. You start walking boldly. You start showing up fully. And you start living freely. Confidence becomes inevitable when your identity is immovable. Broken confidence breeds delayed purpose. When your confidence is compromised, it doesn't just affect how you feel. It affects how you move. It affects how you speak, how you show up, how you dream, how you decide. When confidence is broken, you don't move with clarity. You move with hesitation. You second guess every step, overanalyze every opportunity, and doubt every gift you carry. And while the calling still waits, the movement toward it slows down because the person carrying the call doesn't feel equipped to answer. That's why the enemy attacked your confidence. Not because he could stop your purpose, but because he could slow it. And sometimes slowing you is just as effective as stopping you. Confidence is the bridge between knowing and doing. You can know what you're called to do. You can know you're anointed, know you're gifted, know you've been marked by something greater. But if confidence is broken, you'll sit on that knowledge like it's just potential. Purpose doesn't wait for perfection, but broken confidence will make you believe it does. You'll think you need more time, more validation, more preparation. You'll rehearse every reason why you're not ready instead of recognizing that readiness is rarely a feeling, it's a decision. But when your confidence is low, you'll delay decisions, and purpose requires movement. You were never created to live in the waiting room of your own destiny, yet broken confidence will keep you seated in rooms you've outgrown. It will convince you that playing it safe is wisdom, when really it's fear in disguise. You'll start calling hesitation humility and fear discernment, but deep down you know, it's not that you don't hear God, it's that you don't trust you. You don't trust the version of you that had the dream. You don't trust your voice to speak. You don't trust your gift to carry. That's what broken confidence does. It makes you forget the evidence of your own strength. It makes you forget how far you've come. It makes you ignore the fruit and focus only on the flaws. Delayed purpose doesn't just affect you, it affects others too. There are people connected to your obedience. People waiting on the words you haven't spoken yet. People needing the ideas you've kept in journals instead of releasing into the world. And every time you delay because of broken confidence, the ripple effect of your purpose is paused. But let me tell you, just because confidence has been broken doesn't mean it can't be rebuilt. What's broken can be healed. What's fractured can be made whole. Confidence isn't something you lose forever. It's something you reclaim. You reclaim confidence by choosing to show up even when you feel unqualified. You rebuild it by celebrating progress instead of punishing imperfection. You strengthen it by remembering that your worth is not attached to performance. It's anchored in purpose. Your calling doesn't expire because of hesitation. Grace fills in the gaps while you gather your strength. And even delayed purpose can still be fulfilled when confidence returns. You don't have to wait to feel bold to start. Sometimes confidence returns after the step, not before. Sometimes the strength you're praying for only shows up once you say yes. That's why you have to move even if you're scared. Apply anyway, speak anyway, try anyway. Because delayed doesn't mean denied, but it does mean it's time to rise. So today, acknowledge what broke your confidence, but don't build your life around it. Don't settle in the delay. Don't decorate the detour. Stand back up. Reclaim your voice. Reignite your faith. Your purpose didn't change. Your assignment still stands. All it needs is a confident you to walk it out. You don't attack what isn't valuable. The attack on your confidence is not a sign of weakness. It's a signal of worth. If your voice didn't carry weight, it wouldn't be under pressure. If your vision wasn't powerful, it wouldn't be challenged. If your presence wasn't disruptive to darkness, it wouldn't be targeted. You've been interpreting the resistance as rejection, but the truth is, the resistance is a revelation. It's revealing just how significant you are in the grand scheme of purpose. The enemy doesn't waste energy. He's not coming for you because you're fragile. He's coming for you because you're fruitful. You're marked. You're influential. You're chosen, and you've been carrying something inside you that threatens the plans of darkness. That's why your confidence was the target. It's time to shift your mindset from, why am I under attack, to what is it about me that makes me a threat? The weight of the opposition speaks to the weight of the calling. You weren't attacked because you're a failure. You were attacked because you're favored. Because even with your flaws, you still have influence. Even with your past, you still carry power. Even with your uncertainty, you still shake atmospheres when you walk in alignment. And that's what the enemy fears, alignment. Because when your confidence aligns with your calling, you become unstoppable. And so the attack isn't really about your confidence. It's about disconnecting you from your authority. Authority is not always loud, but it is always recognized. That's why some rooms shift when you walk in, not because of your title, but because of your presence. You don't have to announce that you're called. You just have to be it. But when your confidence is under attack, you start questioning your right to be in places you were divinely positioned to occupy. You start withdrawing, you shrink, you silence yourself, and slowly the enemy wins, not because he removed your power, but because he convinced you to stop using it. But let me remind you, the enemy does not get the final say. He doesn't control your narrative. He doesn't hold your destiny. He may try to shake your confidence, but he cannot shake your calling. What God placed inside you is still there. The gifts are still present. The assignment is still active. The purpose is still alive. And the beautiful thing about being under attack is that it often reveals what's undeniable. You've been doubting yourself, but the warfare is actually confirmation. It's proof that you're carrying something powerful enough to be noticed by both heaven and hell. So instead of letting the attack shame you, let it remind you of your worth, remind you of your weight, remind you that the pressure isn't punishment, it's preparation. You've been growing through the struggle, developing in the dark, strengthening through the silence. And all of it is working together to produce a version of you that doesn't crumble under pressure, but rises in the face of it. This isn't the season to retreat. This is the season to recognize. Recognize the authority you carry. Recognize the purpose on your life. Recognize that your confidence was targeted because it is tied to transformation. You are a walking shift, a living disruption, a divine interruption to cycles that have existed for generations. And that's why you've been fought so hard. But hear this clearly. If you weren't meant to rise, the attack wouldn't have come. The fact that it did means there's something on the other side of your boldness that changes everything. You don't need to wait for the attack to stop before you move forward. Move with the wounds. Move with the questions. Move while healing. Because even with trembling hands, you are still chosen. Even with a broken heart, you are still anointed. And even after the attack, your confidence can still return stronger, deeper, and more rooted than ever before. Because what was targeted is what needs to be reclaimed. Your confidence is not just about you. It's about the impact you were born to make. Healing your confidence is not just a mindset shift. It's a spiritual process. This isn't just about saying affirmations in the mirror or reading self-help books. While those things have their place, true healing comes when you invite God into the broken spaces of your confidence, the places where fear was planted, where lies were rehearsed, where shame took root. Confidence can't be restored by surface solutions when the wound is deep. You've got to go inward and upward. Inward to confront the source of the break, and upward to align with the one who created you whole from the beginning. So many people are walking around with wounded confidence, trying to build empires on shaky foundations. They're showing up with charisma but no conviction, gifting but no grounding, visibility but no vision. That's what happens when we try to bypass healing and go straight into performing. But God didn't call you to perform. He called you to be. He called you to walk boldly in your authenticity, not just to project an image. And when your confidence has been healed at the root, you don't need approval to move. You move because you were already affirmed by your Creator. Healing is a journey, not a destination. Some days you'll feel strong. Other days you'll question everything again. But the presence of doubt doesn't cancel your progress. Healing doesn't mean you'll never feel insecure again. It means you'll learn to move anyway. You'll recognize when the old narratives try to resurface, and instead of retreating, you'll replace them with truth. You'll stop asking, "Am I good enough?" and start declaring, "I've been made ready." That kind of healing brings a peace that isn't based on performance, but on position. Your position as a daughter, as a son, as someone divinely crafted with purpose. When you invite God into your healing process, He doesn't just restore what you lost. He reveals what you didn't even know you had. You thought confidence was about sounding sure, but he'll show you it's about being sure in him. You thought it was about always being certain, but he'll teach you that real confidence can coexist with humility and vulnerability. It's not arrogance, it's awareness. It's awareness of who you are and whose you are. When you know that, you walk different, you speak different, you choose different. But healing won't happen if you keep avoiding the pain. You have to get honest about what broke your confidence in the first place. Was it a word spoken over you in childhood, a failure you never forgave yourself for, a comparison trap that made you feel less than? Healing begins at the place of truth, not filtered truth, but raw, real truth. And when you bring that truth to God, you'll find that He doesn't shame you for it. He covers you. He comforts you. He reminds you that brokenness is not the end. It's just the beginning of a new kind of strength. Confidence rooted in healing becomes unshakable because it's no longer based on external validation. It's based on internal wholeness. And that kind of confidence doesn't need to prove anything. It simply is. It's quiet when necessary, bold when required, but consistent through every season, because when God heals your confidence, He also aligns your identity. He realigns your mind with truth, your heart with purpose, and your walk with divine power. So don't skip the healing process. Don't numb it. Don't rush it. Don't mask it with fake strength. Sit with it. Work through it. Pray through it. Allow God to meet you in the messy middle of your becoming. Because the healed version of you is powerful. She's clear. She's bold. He's focused. He's free. And that version is already within you, waiting to emerge once you allow healing to do its holy work. Confidence born out of healing doesn't just change how you feel about yourself. It changes how you carry your purpose. And when your confidence is healed, your calling is released.